Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is once you have your chair drawn in ArtRage, what you need to do is get this converted to a JPEG so we can work with it in Photoshop. So to do that, remember you go up to the File menu at the top and you click Export Image File. And you want to make sure you save it to your folder, as always. So I'm going to go ahead and save it to my folder under Documents here. And it's a JPEG format. I'm going to hit Save. So once it does that, it's done. I can quit out of ArtRage and I can open Photoshop. So this is what the screen looks like on Photoshop Elements. The first thing that we have to do is get our chair open in this program. So I'm going to go up to File. I'm going to click Open because Photoshop can open pretty much any kind of image file. So we're going to go ahead and open. Now I'm going to go to my folder where I just saved my chair contour JPEG. There it is, chaircontour.jpg. I'm going to click Open. First thing you'll notice is that this chair needs to be rotated. For some reason it's sideways. So if this happens to you, you can go up to the image menu, rotate, and then you can say, 90 degrees right, and that will fix that problem. Command minus will zoom out for me, or Command 0 will actually fit it on the screen. So those are two really useful commands. Now before I can do anything else with my chair, I'm going to need a texture. On our website, hmsdigitalart.com, you will find our texture library. If you go to the Photos button here, and then you click on All Albums, and if you scroll down a little bit here, you'll see one that was created by me that says Texture Library. So if I click on that, this is going to show me the entire library of textures that all of my classes have created together. So what you're going to do right now is you're going to look through to find a texture that you like, that you think you might want to use to apply to your chair. So I might try this one. This is an interesting one, kind of like an animal print. So what I want to do before I save it is I'm going to click View Full Size Image. So it opens up in a new tab. And then I'm going to right click with my mouse and I'm going to say Save Image As. You can also get that menu to pop up if you hit Control button and click with your mouse. Save Image As. Once again, I want to make sure I'm saving into my folder, and I'm going to call this leopard. I can just keep it as it is, that's fine, and I'm going to hit Save. Okay, so back in Photoshop, there's a couple things I have to do to get ready before I can start adding in my textures. The first thing that I want to do is unlock my background layer. Notice if you look over on your layers over here, it says background and it has a little padlock. The padlock, the background layer in itself is just sort of a special layer. So all you want to do is double click on the padlock and it's going to come up with this little floating box and it says layer 0. I'm actually going to call this my chair drawing. That's going to remind me what this layer is later on when I've got a lot of layers in here. So I'm going to hit OK. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go up to File to add in a new texture, File, Place, and I'm going to go find that texture that I just saved. It was Leopard Print Final. I'm going to click Place. Notice that there's this giant X on this, and there's a green checkbox and a little red circle with a slash through it. So the thing about Photoshop is that when you have an object that has this big X on it, it won't let you do much of anything else until you hit the green check mark. So in other words, if I go up to the menus up here, notice that almost everything is grayed out. I have hardly any options, and this is a thing that a lot of students get hung up on, get confused about, which is understandable. It's kind of a quirk of Photoshop. What I want to do right now is I want to think about where I want this texture to be applied to my chair. So I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. I'm gonna look around here. I think I might apply it to the top of my chair here. So I want to make sure it's big enough for the top of my chair. So I'm just grabbing the corners and scaling it. And now it's big enough, so now I can hit the green check. Now what I need to do is change the order of my layers. I can't see my drawing through this right now. So what I want to do is drag my layer, Leopard Prints Final, and click on it and just drag it below over here underneath the chair drawing. Oops, now what happened is the chair drawing layer, it has a white background, so it's actually covering up my my texture. So what I actually want to do is go up to, on the chair drawing layer, where it says normal right here. You're going to click that and you're going to change it to multiply. What that has done is made the white transparent, so now I can see the texture through it, which makes it easier for me to apply it. Okay, so now this is sort of the next step that we're going to do, which is we want to get the texture just into this particular section of my chair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my toolbar over here and I'm going to click on my magic wand. It looks just like the one in Art Rage that has, it's like the stick with the little kind of burst of light on the end. And what I can do is if I click inside of this shape that I want to select, you'll notice that now I have this line of marching ants, is what I call it. It kind of looks like a line of ants. And this is called a selection. So this means that I only have this portion of the drawing selected. The tricky part is what you want to do before you go on is you have to click on the texture layer over here, Leopard Prints Final, before I can do anything else. Now I'm going to go up to the Edit menu and I'm going to click Copy. And then I'm going to click Edit, Paste. And over here on the layers, you'll notice that now I have an extra layer. It says layer 1. Now if I throw away the Leopard Prints Final layer, the texture that I originally imported, just click it and drag it to this little trash can, not the big one down here, but the little one right here. Now you'll see that I have this texture cut out in the layer, cut out in the shape of the back of my chair. Okay, let's try another one. So I'm going to go up to File, click Place. And I've got some other textures that I've already imported. You can always go back to the website and you can go and look through the library of textures. You're welcome to use any of these, not just yours, but anybody that you think you like, that you want to use. Let's see here. I think for the bottom of my chair, I might use this one. This one's very interesting. And I'm going to click View Full Size again. I'm going to right click on it, Save Image As, and hit Save. I'm going back to Photoshop now. I'm going to click File and then I'm going to Place, and I'm looking for that one. I just saved. There it is. Place. Okay. So now I want to apply this one so it looks a little bit like it's in perspective. So you see this section right here that's just below the underside of the chair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this down a bit so it's at least as wide as it needs to be. But I can also manipulate it in other ways. So I'm going to go up to the Edit menu, the Image menu, and I'm going to go to Transform, and I can actually select things like Skew, Distort, and Perspective. So if I click Perspective, let me just show you. So if I click Perspective and then I drag now, see how it changes it? Almost like it has a vanishing point, right? And if I go back up to Image, Transform, and then I'm going to do Distort, I can actually move each of these corners approximately the size. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so I can make sure it's cut out exactly the way I want it to. See how I can grab each corner and manipulate it individually. That's under Distort. And then I'm going to hit the checkbox. And I still need to cut this out because you can see how it's hanging over if I zoom in a little bit. It's hanging over. So probably the trickiest thing here is making sure you're on the right layer when you want to do the right action. You have to be on the drawing layer when you're making the selection. So I click on the chair drawing, have my magic wand selected, and then I'm going to click inside that portion of the chair right there. See the little marching ants. Now to copy and paste, what I have to do is click back on the texture layer, and I'm going to do Copy, Command C, and then Command V as in Victor to paste it. Notice when I pasted it generated a new layer automatically, and now I can throw away this original texture layer here, and now it's cut out in the shape of the chair. Okay, so something that might come up for you as you're working is you might come across a time when you might make a selection, but perhaps there's like a gap in your line, and what will happen is, I'm going to show you an example right here. Let's say that I have this gap here. So if I now select, maybe I want to apply a texture to the front part of this chair. Notice that it's selecting not only the front of the chair, but it's all selecting this piece, which I don't want. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Command Z, which will allow me to undo. And I can actually take my paintbrush over here and I can go ahead and make sure I have black as my front color, and I'm going to fill that in. Now you might find like right there that is too thick, so I'm going to go up here and change my size of my brush, something much smaller, and I'm going to zoom in and make sure I can make this match. Still looks a little bit heavy, so I think I'm going to take it down to, I don't know, maybe like 3 pixels, 4 pixels, let's try. Okay, so I was able to patch that. You might notice there's a little gap right here, so I might as well clean that up too. And then now I should be able to select the portion that I wanted. Ah, there we go. So that's a good way to problem solve when you have that sort of thing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring in another texture that I saved from the website. I'm going to bring in the bricks here. Okay. All right, so this is a really common problem I wanted to show you that comes up. So I'm going to scale this down like I normally would, and I'm going to apply it to maybe to the leg or something here. I'm going to scale it up a little bit, and then I'm going to hit, maybe make it a little skinnier. You guys have full control over this, which is pretty cool. I'm going to hit the return key or the check the green box. So this is probably the most common problem that I see students when they're doing this project is first of all, I imported that layer. Now I'm going to go get my magic wand and I'm going to click inside of the area I want to apply it to. Wait a second, it's not applying it to the right area. Notice that it's selecting the brick layer, not the chair layer. So that's first I need to be on the chair drawing to make sure that I'm selecting from the drawing layer. So now if I click on the front of that leg, now I've got the leg selected. The next most common thing I see is that students will go here, they'll have their selection on their drawing layer, and then they'll go up to edit, copy, and edit paste. And look what happens. And they'll say, hey, it's painting, it's actually pasting white. Well, it's not really pasting, it is pasting white because what happened is you just copied from the chair layer which had white on it. So that is the most common thing that I see students that get kind of in trouble with. So I want you to, if that happens, just do Command Z, and then all you have to do is jump down to the right layer. So bricks, and then I'm going to do Command C, Command V, and I can just throw this layer away like that. And now it's cut out in the shape of my leg. Be sure to carefully go over the rubric for this assignment. It talks about how to create shading using the textures. So the darker textures can be, if you imagine a light source in one area, you want to think about that. You want to think about how the different patterns you have go together. Are they too busy? Are they too not busy? Like, are they too quiet? All those kinds of things going forward. I'm also going to make sure that I file save this. And when I save this, it's automatically going to default to a format, a Photoshop format. I want to make sure I save it into my folder, and then I'm going to hit save. Well, you want it to save the layers because then you can keep working with them as we go along. And that's it. So please try to troubleshoot on your own, and then you can ask for help as needed.